119, 120.
This is 119, right?
Very cool. So this is actually going to be our first podcast on the new system.
The new rig.
So I know it's been probably in the works for 20-ish episodes, right? But we finally got everything together, got all your parts, built it for you, delivered, set up. So yeah, man, it looks nice. And well, you got a new desk on top of that.
Yep.
And I like it, man. This room's come a long way.
Yeah.
I know our listeners can't see, but
We'll talk about more about the specs as we go along, because I know that maybe you're a kind of a whiz kid when it comes to these things. But yeah, that's gonna be like my first note. I didn't put it down, but I do want to talk about it a little bit, and so you can educate me, because I have done a little bit of a dive on kind of like PC builds and stuff like that, and what they do, and what's cool, and what works with what, and et cetera, et cetera. So I want you to kind of educate me on the matter.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
All right,
we can get into that.
But other than that, man, my fucking feet hurt. I'm fucking dying 1,000 deaths right now. Fucking tired. Shit, I just got out of the shower, which fucking made me feel like sleepier, but like better, you know? But that's where I'm at right now. I found the bridge to my guitar, so that's also cool. Also, well, I guess we'll get into this as the pod goes along, but yeah, man, it's good. I got some stuff practiced. Like, I feel like I'm a new man, because like I said, the office is built up. I got
a man's office / cave is like, you could tell so much about him from what everything is.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, it's a fact with that. But yeah, like even with like the outro, which I kind of put together. I put together a little outro.
Nice. I'm gonna have to listen to that one.
Yeah, it's not great. I'm not gonna lie, but it'll get the job done. You know, until I have better means.
To be fair, I do think you get some brownie points for the audio producer thing with this new desk, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely.
We'll talk about that when we head on air. But other than that, man, you ready?
Oh yeah.
What is going on, guys? Welcome to the Second City Kids podcast, episode number 119.
119.
Yeah, we are back on a nice day on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. Yeah, man, it is what it is. We got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, so you did a lot of work today.
I did.
We're doing this podcast a little later, but so you. I can't think of words right now. I'm so sorry.
No,
you're
good.
You helped Adam move out of your grandpa's house, right?
Well, basically, we're cleaning up the whole joint. The whole house is getting cleaned up because they're going to put it on sale. So basically, everything has got to go.
Right.
Because, you know, they're
so was it weird?
Yeah. Dude, they have, I mean, I don't want to get too deep, like personal, but they got a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of stuff. My grandma was like a collector of knicknacks and all
Hoarding,
that stuff.
borderline, yeah.
Almost, yeah, because there was just stuff you're like, what the hell? Like what? Like stuff that like she was like big on roosters, like cups with
hilarious.
roosters on them, like plates and roosters and stuff on them, and like there was stuff that wasn't even opened. That was just like, what the hell? And they had like VHS tapes that were never opened.
Dude, I'm like terrified that that's gonna be like my grandkids or my kids plowing through my stuff, except it's gonna be like, oh, this is an original 1979 alien figure collectible, like, and they're gonna just toss it out. Like, no, I paid $10,000.
Well, that was like the part of the deal with us right now, is that because she has a lot of stuff. Well, both of them did, but she definitely had a lot of stuff. So digging through her shit, we're like, maybe some of like just looking at it, like she had like stuff that looked like it was crystal made in England. We're like, maybe we should do some deep dives on what's
maybe do a yard sale, worst case scenario.
Yeah. Well, I know that anything that people don't want, because they're giving away a lot of stuff. This desk being one of them, and the hutch that you saw in the living room, because I have a hutch now too. So
very cool.
Yeah. That was like stuff that they were giving away. So because, you know, like I said, we're coming to the end of the whole process, and then we're gonna put it on sale in a minute. You know, a lot of the stuff has to go. So we're just collecting our shit and moving along and passing stuff down and all that stuff, and then whoever doesn't want, you know, whatever doesn't stick or whatever, basically is going to be put in a yard sale, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, man, so there's a lot of stuff going on that front. But with that comes this desk. Now this desk is
gorgeous.
Yeah, it's familiar to us because this is Adam's old studio desk. Adam didn't have the space for it because he moved. So he doesn't have the space for it. I'm like, well, I'll fucking take it. So I took it, and I got so much more room for activities on here.
So was it a total bitch getting in here? Because it's like right next to the door.
Well, dude.
Yeah.
It was a bitch. This thing is fucking heavy.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's solid wood.
You can look at it. It's fucking heavy. Okay. So pulling it out, because Adam rented a truck for the day because he sold his trailer. So getting it out of their house, which I didn't help. Tim did it, thank God.
God bless Tim.
Yeah, getting it out of his truck, down my driveway, through the front door, which wasn't that big or wasn't that hard because it's, it's like measured out, so it's pretty exact, but because my grandpa did it. But getting it through this door,
pain in the ass.
it was a pain in the ass. I mean, we scraped up our floors a little bit on the other side. I'll show you. It was not like brutally bad, but it was a tight squeeze.
At least you didn't fuck up these nice blue walls, man.
Yeah, I think we bumped a couple of spots by the door,
That's
but
barely noticeable.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But yeah, man, this shit and with that, after we dropped it off and got everything done, me and Adrian are like, okay, first off, we got to clean the house and get everything ready with the new stuff.
Vacuum and all that
Yeah,
shit.
with the new stuff. And I'm like, well, let me get my fucking new spot, set up my new desk. And because I have so much space, it's so easy to do because previously when I would move stuff around my desk, it was like, fuck.
You had to move something. You had to give up something. It was a trade-off.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I'm like, well, fucking where am I to put this in the meantime while I'm starting to rearrange my shit? And now, like, it looks like my cables are organized and shit like that. Like, it's
relatively.
So... Yeah, well, comparatively to what it was, definitely.
Absolutely.
It's definitely an upgrade on that front. But, yeah, so we got to,
So all right, a quick question for you, right?
Okay.
Because like I always feel some kind of way when I like clean out my room and you find knickknacks from like years ago, right?
Okay.
And so do you think it was like a cathartic experience going through and helping clean out the rest of the stuff?
I think
You think it helped you in the healing process?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I think there's a lot of, like I said, we would just pull stuff out. We're like, why did they keep that? Like, what are they doing? Like, and
Grandma, come on.
Yeah, I was telling Adam, I'm like, man, your parents were something else, bro. He's like, dude. He's like, I know, this is crazy.
It's not any different.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, even my mom, I'm like, why did they keep stuff like this? Like, she's like, that's just how they were. And they had stuff like my mom had one like that was in their house when they were kids. Like, that's how old some of the shit they had was.
Wow.
It was just weird, and like the hutch is from 76.
That's in good condition,
yeah,
though.
do that math. I mean, it has like nicks and stuff like that, but of course it is. It's fucking 40 years old.
With what, 3 kids through the house?
Yeah, well, 4, yeah.
4 kids and countless dogs?
Yeah, so, it is what it is. And like a lot of the big furniture stuff was in great shape, so they did a good job with that. And, like you said, I guess there's a lot of catharticness with it. I know that they're going to have like one final like shebang there, like, barbecue and then we'll say bye to the house, which is, I think that's going to be something that's a little bit more difficult for me because that's been my grandparents' house since I can remember.
Well, even then, we spent 2 solid years in there recording the podcast, practicing when For Better For Worse was still a thing,
Yeah, absolutely.
We sad to see it go. Countless birthday parties, Super Bowl parties.
Christmases, like, there was like a phase probably for like 20 years where we didn't.
It was just there.
It was always there, no matter what.
Good copy.
So that how much my grandpa did to that house, like he fucking make that house his own.
Took care of it. Yep.
Yeah, he built it up and took care of it, and anything my grandma wanted, she basically got. She's like, well, I kind of want this. He's like, okay,
give me a week.
Yeah, he's like, yeah, give me some time and I'll do some research on it. Because that's the type of guy my grandpa was. He would. She's like, well, what do you know about like electricity, like wiring? He's like, well, nothing, but I'll learn.
Nothing yet.
But yeah, but I'll learn, and that's what the type of guy he was. So
good copy, man. We need more go-getters.
Absolutely.
In today's society, because I feel it's like easier than ever to learn something.
Absolutely. So it's kind of cool, and like I said, I'm super stoked about the desk because the desk really kind of pulls my room together.
Yeah, man, it definitely makes everything pop, and so I'm actually relocated. I'm still in a corner because that was the thing for a while. I'm actually right under the Under Oath fabric poster you got here.
Yes.
And I have this like unnerving sense that like Spencer Chamberlain's gonna pop out of there and like strangle me for that review I gave last week. But
it wasn't so bad.
No, I don't think it was a bad review.
No.
But yeah, man. So congrats. Like I said, you're gonna get some serious brownie points for that desk. I'm kind of jealous. my room's kind of small, and the place where I'm recording my other podcast is also like my theater. So I can't do too much wacky shit because then I got all these speakers and stuff to move. But
running around a space. And
good
stuff.
Like so you ready for today's topics?
Well, let's get into this PC that we're talking about.
Okay, so the reason Mr. Jake here wanted a PC was because your laptop is in okay shape. It was just getting kind of old.
It's starting to get a little sluggish. Yeah,
you start to feel it after I'd say 4 years.
Yeah,
and so we'd come across issues, whatever that may be. The first big one was like a driver issue. Once we solved that, you're like, wow, clarity.
Yeah,
definitely. And then with Studio One stopping, and we kind of ran across a couple of things, but essentially he sat down and said, Gabe, I need you to build me a computer.
Yeah,
and so my thought process was, okay, I think this is like the 7th or 8th system I built within like a 12-month span.
Okay.
I just been on a rampage,
Yeah.
building left and right.
Wait, was it for yourself or for other people? Like, what's the deal with that?
Well, I want to say like August last year, maybe July. I was like, I want to build a PC. I don't want to buy one. I want to build one because I'm a computer guy and I have yet to build one. Well, I have built one, but that was like for a group project, so it wasn't like my PC. You feel me? So I built that. I actually used that case. Fun fact.
Cool.
I built that system, and then version 2 came around, 2.5, and then we're on like version 3 right now. And then I rebuilt version 2, sold that, and I built some friends' PCs. And then when you told me, hey, like I'm ready, I'm like, all right, cool. So I scavenged together some parts. We actually got all that for a steal, man. So what do you want to know about it spec-wise?
So basically, like, how far can I go? Because I know I got a lot of memory. I know that was like the big selling point. Because
Well, actually, you don't have a whole massive chunk of memory, but okay. So running down spec wise, you have a Ryzen platform, which is probably the best bang for your buck at the moment. You got a 2200G, which is a CPU GPU integrated.
Okay.
This is what most like consoles use. They use like an integrated system.
Yeah.
The nice thing about that is that GPU, that graphics processing unit, is actually quite viable. So you could play like CS:GO with relatively no issue. All that good stuff. You got 8 gigs RAM, which is pretty standard. What else you got in there? A 500 watt power supply, obviously. Some decent fans, a cooler. You got a 3 terabyte hard drive. How does it feel to never worry about storage ever again?
It's pretty sweet because, like, obviously when we did the podcast on the
you
laptop,
delete old episodes, right?
Yeah, well, not even just that, but it was told me that hey, because Studio One has this neat feature where it tells you how much days you have left, and on the laptop I had 9. I'm like, okay, I mean we got some time, right? It's not gonna be forever. With this guy, I have 128 days available to me.
Very cool.
Yeah, so roughly, like, what is that, like 12 times the?
Because I got a 3 terabyte in my computer too, and like I have all my games downloaded on there, on the hard drive, and then I got all these programs, shit like that. Essentially, all my stuff that I don't need to be booted immediately is put on the hard drive, right? And I still have 2 free terabytes left with all my shit on there, and that's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
And then you got a 128 gig SSD, a solid state drive, which is much faster. And those things are great right now because they're dirt cheap because we've moved like 2 technologies beyond. And so that stuff is blazing fast, but bang for your buck, dude, this is the way to go.
Absolutely.
But I'm actually kind of curious to see how Siege would run on this thing because it is an integrated graphics thing. Okay. So my guess is if you cranked everything down to minimal, I think you get 30 frames per second. But at that point, you might as well just play it on the PS4,
So so basically, okay, because you obviously know a little bit more about the whole thing, a lot more about the whole thing. So how comparatively, if I would have put all the settings on minimum on that guy, on that guy, how is it compared to console? Is it like about the same?
I'd say it would probably look a little bit better on console because they do kind of. It's optimized, which is you get good frames and good graphics essentially for what your hardware is, right? Okay. I think you could run it. I don't know how well all that would handle it though, is the question. Okay. If you got a discrete graphics card, which is like its own, bit that you install, you could definitely run it, no issue. I run Siege on my setup at like 130-ish frames per second at full fidelity. Like you could see Thermite's little milk mustache. I sent you that one day. Yeah. And you just see all this stuff that wasn't there before, and it's absolutely a gorgeous game. Okay. But it's possible, and if you ever want to upgrade this thing, there's relatively cheap options we could do. We could get you some more memory for like another $50. We could get the graphics card. Like I said, the RX 570 is a phenomenal option. Like you can get one for less than $90.
Cool. So before we get into that, obviously, I'm gonna pay you back for the current system.
I mean, if you got any questions, by all means, because for those of you who don't know, who haven't been keeping up for the past 4 years, I'm a computer science major. I live in this shit. I do programming. I'm kind of in the midst of all this, and Jake kind of came to me, trusting my judgment and all that stuff. So, do you have any questions? I'm just kind of curious because your way around. I'd say most hardware, but when it comes to like nitty gritty, like form factors and all that, you know,
when you started saying, "Hey, put this in the command prompt," I'm like, I'm scared to do stuff like that.
The beauty of like PC problems, like just general kind of like why won't this run, is that if you Google your error code, you're gonna get 100 results. Yeah, and that's like the mentality you got to take because, maybe not now, but eventually down the line, you're gonna run into something. Yeah, and it's one thing to text me and be like, hey, can you help me out? Of course, which I will. But then, you can get immediate answers if you just Google it. And that's kind of the beauty of PC stuff now because 10 years ago when I had like Windows Vista and I had my first PC, it was like if you run into something, you're like, dude, I'm fucked.
Yeah, dude. Well, like I said, well, the whole point was, like I said, to do the pod seamlessly, and it runs beautifully because we talked about the ears and how I get the feedback right away.
Yeah, the latency is just minimal,
and it doesn't throw me off at all, because that's what was like the big problem with when I would monitor the show, is it would throw me off. So I would never monitor myself. I would only monitor Gabe, and all that good stuff. And now I don't have that problem. And now I'm just like, everything's coming together as far as like space.
So I did sprinkle in a little bit of RGB, which stands for red, green, blue. For those, and I see you took a liking to the blue setting on the rig.
Well, I have a theme. My system, my PC's name is Katana. So
very cool.
I went with the black and blue because I thought it looked good.
You could probably get a Katana sticker and slap it on that plexiglass if you wanted to be extra.
I was thinking about it. I'm not gonna lie.
Or what wouldn't be a bad idea? I don't know if they make these, but you could get like the health bars. Like printed out on a sticker and slap them on there.
That's not a good
so it looks like the frame of the MK fight.
Yeah, that's not bad either.
That's a solid idea, huh?
Yeah, I like that. But yeah, so that's basically the theming. I'm like, because I like the because it was like more like a pink than a purple. I'm like, it looks kind of cool. So I was just fiddling around with all of them. They have like a bunch of cool stuff and all that good stuff. I'm like, I like the this is not like dark blue. This is like a light blue.
Yeah,
and which is why I
that
like
very like MK9 katana.
Yeah,
that outfit.
Absolutely, which is why I liked it. I'm like, fuck it, and that's why she's my back. Well, she's my background on my laptop too. But
good stuff. So I have a themed PC. I went out of my way to match all the colors and do all the nice stuff. It can get out of hand very fucking quickly.
Yeah,
so just keep it minimal for right now. Because I got like custom sleeved cables. I got all this wacky stuff. Like all my water cooling components are matched to the color scheme, which is I'm a sucker for like the Miami Vice, like the light blue and hot pink.
The neon, yeah.
I love that color scheme.
Yeah.
And I got this character from this anime in there, and he matches the whole thing. But I'm not going to get into it. Let's get into these topics today.
All right.
You ready?
So let's go.
My first one is on here. So this past week, I kind of buckled down and I said I need a new phone. And I mean, I have the 6S, and I had it since it came out in 2015. It's been 4 years. You see how my phone is. It's fucking cracked. It's banged up, but it still works.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? We're going on 2 vacations in the next 3 months. I want a better phone. I want to be able to take nice pictures. Even that, I think I just kind of deserve a little,
Yeah, why not?
Absolutely. So I was looking at the Huawei P30, and the main thing that attracted me was the 40 megapixel camera on it, which is fucking insane.
Okay.
Because now, whatever the like this phone has a 12 megapixel camera, and most of the others are still around the same area, right? So yeah, that's relatively massive compared to like iPhones and most of the Androids out there right now that have like 12, 12.2 around that area. 40 was just holy shit. Like you could take like massive 8K photos, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so what happened this week? Huawei, President Trump passed an executive order that Huawei cannot do business with American companies, and so now everybody is kind of in this like weird state where, like there's Huawei phones over here, right? But then like Google pulled the plug and they're like, hey, you're not going to be getting any Android updates. And now people are like pulling their parts because they got a lot of like US manufactured parts, and they're like, hey, you can't use our parts anymore because of this ban. And then like Panasonic over in Japan's like, you can't use our batteries. And so now everybody's kind of pulling out of this Huawei market, which is insane because they're the number 2 leader of like cellular devices. It goes Samsung, Huawei, Apple, which is kind of crazy. But ever since this has been passed, everybody's kind of like in this state where, well, what the fuck do we do now?
Is it a Chinese company?
It is a Chinese company. And so the thought process was these phones have had issues with like what people perceive to be the Chinese government spying on them, right? And so this measure was taken as like a preemptive kind of strike. And I don't know too much on that detail, but I do know that Huawei cannot do business with American companies now. And so this, the one phone I was kind of looking at, I was like, I guess not.
Yeah.
Because, we might be good for 6 months, but then what happens?
Yeah, for sure.
But I just thought it was pretty crazy,
So where are you leaning next then? What's
I actually have my next phone ordered, and I've been having nothing but crap luck. I could go into that if you want.
Okay, let's go for it.
So I decided on the Pixel 3a XL, which is a cheaper version of the Pixel 3. It's just missing 2 kind of features, but I'm like, whatever about them. It's not water resistant. You can't wirelessly charge it, which is whatever. But so Best Buy had this promotion, and I was like, cool, I'll get it through Best Buy. And so what happened was that the first Best Buy, the only unit they had in stock was defective. So I was like, fucking great. And so then what I did was I went to a different Best Buy, and they're like, hey, we only have 1 in stock, but we can't give it to you because you're only upgrading your phone. You're not adding a line, and we need at least 3 in stock to do that. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So then I click ship to home. I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore, right? And then the moment I click ship to home, Sprint, my carrier's like, hey, we have them in stock at the Sprint store. I was like, cool. And then I can't cancel my fucking ship to home order and go to the Sprint store, so I have to wait. And it was supposed to come in Friday, and now USPS delayed it. And so now I'm like pulling out my hair. I was like, God damn it. If I would have waited like a day, I would have been perfectly fine. But because I'm so goddamn impatient,
Yeah, no, I know.
I got boned out of having a new phone right now. But you know,
I mean, you've lived with that for 2 years. I'm sure. Like
4.
4 years. I'm
4
sure,
years.
I'm sure a couple more days won't hurt you.
Yeah, but you know, I was like, dude, if I would have just waited.
Yeah, I feel you.
But
Speaking of bullshit, want to talk about this bullshit that fucking iTunes is pulling with me right now?
Man.
Well, it's not iTunes. I don't want to give iTunes shit for it because it's not all their fault. But because it seems like a Podbean issue. So Podbean is saying, well, now that all my episodes are uploaded to iTunes, every time that I upload it, it uploads with the number of the episode first, right? Which I don't mind. I don't think it's aesthetically pleasing if you're like glossing over it.
But we number our own episodes here at Second City Kids.
But we number our own episodes, so it's not that big of a deal. But like I said, if it was an accurate number, that's fine. But the problem is it's roughly about 30 episodes off. So what is basically what I was told, because I went to Podbean support to get it all figured out. I'm like, yo, fucking fix this. I don't want this there. They're like, well, currently we don't have an option to do that. I know that I guess they got in touch with Apple to try to fix it, to resolve it. And second of all, they don't have a way for them like to do like an auto fix on everything.
So you got to go in manually and change each one?
I have to manually go into all 118 episodes and fix them. Well, 119 after this, and fix them one by one. And I'm like, I don't have the fucking time for that or the patience. So I'm hoping that Apple gets a fix for this so I don't have to fucking look at it. Yeah, so if you are viewing on or listening, I guess, on iTunes or Apple Podcast, I'm sorry that the numbers are...
Look at the episode number in the title, not the episode number in the episode number.
Yeah. And like I said, it seems like a Podbean thing. There's a dude that I listen to. He's 600 podcasts in. And right now, his current episode, his most recent, is labeled 187.
Oh, man, he got shysted.
Yeah,
huh?
Think about that. So I imagine that it's going to get fixed soon because I know plenty of people are like, what the fuck? And I was, because I'm on a podcast group on Facebook too. So they were like, yeah, dude, he's like, I only have 10 episodes. I can't even imagine what 118 looks like. I'm like, fuck you. Yeah. So that's what's going on. So again, if you guys see the wrong labeling, I'm sorry. I guess it'll get fixed after a while. Check it out on TuneIn. I'm sure that TuneIn's still fine. So
Spotify will be perfectly fine too.
Spotify will be good as well. So check it out there if you're annoyed with it. I'm sorry. I can't do anything about it at the moment.
Copy.
But yeah, so let's go ahead and get into these actual topics.
Let's talk some Toy Story 4.
Yeah, dude, let's talk about it. So they dropped a new trailer. Seen it?
Yes, it looks excellent. I'm actually kind of excited for this movie.
Yeah, it looks really fucking good. And then I like the vibe where they went with it because they took kind of this pseudo 60s, 70s vibe, especially with a lot of the music. They reference like Evel Knievel, even though he's like the Canadian version of him or whatever. It was funny. I liked, because I thought Key and Peele was going to be kind of annoying when.
No, I think they did a good job.
And yeah, they had some funny moments in there.
They weren't super intrusive.
No, not at all. And the cat ripped open that fucking. They're like, look at all the fluff, like all that stuff. Man,
it felt like a very natural part of the group.
Yeah, they fell into line and they did a good job. I mean, you'll never take away the thunder from Tom Hanks and Tim Allen, but I think they're going to be interesting moving forward and see where they fall into the whole stories thing. Because
absolutely.
Because up to this point, we've been adding toys almost every movie at this point.
Yeah. I feel like, especially when we hit 3, that number jumped kind of dramatically because the jump from 1 to 2 was a handful.
Yeah.
And now it's just growing exponentially. More toys.
Absolutely. So it's cool, man. And
what do we got? 2 weeks till that movie?
Yeah, middle of June, I think. So I'm excited. I think it's going to be good. And if I know Pixar, they're deliver.
They're going to knock it out of the ballpark.
Yep.
They always do.
So they'll deliver on that.
Now, when you talk about Toy Story, I think it's important to mention the other movie that's coming out that same weekend, which is Child's Play.
Yeah.
Have you seen the marketing approach that they're taking to
their
posters?
You sent a few of them to me, and we talked about it briefly.
So the two notable ones are the Woody one, where Chucky chopped off Woody's leg, and he's like standing over it.
Yeah.
And then the most recent one was the Slinky Dog one, where he's roasting the tail end of Slinky Dog on the knife over a fire.
Yeah.
What do you think of these, man?
Well, I think the first one was funny. I think it was kind of like an interesting take because, like I said, I think the first time it's funny. The second time, it's not so funny. It's not funny anymore. It stopped being funny after the second glance of the first one. So, I
think they're kind of trashy, man, if I'm being completely honest.
They're being a little trashy.
You're completely right. The first one, it was funny because it was almost like poking fun at itself, really. But now I feel like they took the positive, like, reaction from the first one, and they're like, "Hey, let's do it again."
Yeah, let's do it
and
again.
now it's kind of devolved into, like I said, I think it's super trashy now.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: they're both coming out the same weekend. And I know Chucky has a steady-ish following, probably dropped off significantly from the '80s, but whatever.
Yeah.
The fact that these two movies have the same opening weekend, I just think that this Chucky movie is going to flop. I thought it was going to flop anyway, but
Yeah.
it's going to be totally fucking demolished.
It's gonna get
who's not going to see Toy Story?
Yeah, it's gonna get thrashed opening weekend for sure. It's not even gonna be close. I think it's gonna be in for like 3 weeks, and that's gonna be out.
And then I mentioned to you recently, I feel like by the time Pixar or Disney gets like a cease and desist out to them, the movie's already going to be out, or
No,
it'll
you're
be
right.
like a few days, you know?
No.
So Disney's probably just going to be like, what the fuck ever, you know? And I feel like they're in just the state where like you're looking at like a mosquito that's right underneath your shoe, and they're just going to be like,
Yeah,
just end the whole ordeal.
And like I mentioned this to you, man. I don't like the fucking fact that these horror movies. Well, this horror movie is coming out in June. Like, what the fuck? Like, who?
Bring
what-
back those late releases, man.
Yeah, like why the fuck June? Are you afraid because you don't want to go toe to toe with it? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, it works because I believe it takes place in like late fall, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the period.
it's closer, and we talked about that last week. I'm like, well, it's a little off, but at least it's what was it like? You said September. It's close, right? Close-ish.
Yeah.
Fucking
I believe the movie takes place in like that September
Yeah.
era too.
no, you're right. Yeah,
But and then we got something else coming out. We got the Joker movie, which is not inherently a Joker movie, but it
Yeah.
looks horror-y enough
Yeah.
in mid-October.
no, you're right. And the Lord knows what else we're gonna announce in between that. I'm sure there'll be a couple horror movies that pop up, and it's like it's afraid to go toe to toe, so it's gonna go toe to toe with Toy Story, which I think is even worse, more poor decision.
I think there would have been a lot better weekends for it.
Even after the weekend after, you can still kind of poke fun at it, but before, but I don't know, man. I think it's a bad choice, and they're gonna get fucking thrashed.
Because you see, when Silent Planet said they got new material, their label told them, hey, not this Friday, because that's when the Architects album comes
Yeah.
out. So they waited 2 weeks.
Yeah,
And that was a good move on everybody's part, because I promise you, if those two albums came out in the same weekend, it would have been brutal for Silent Planet. And I love that album way more than I love the Architects one.
I think it would have been brutal for both because I think Silent Planet. Well, we're not going to get into too deep, but Silent Planet's an upcoming band, and the Architects are like
Well established.
yeah, well established. So I think because everybody knows that the Silent Planet was going to be hot, and everybody knows the Architect, no matter what, is always going to be hot, no matter what. So I think it would have kind of hurt both. And like you said, I think that scenario is the best for both because they're not going to be affecting each other at all.
Yeah, you're not going to be stealing listens and view counts and whatever it may be.
Absolutely.
I just think that the guys behind the promotional stuff for Child's Play are being way too ballsy right now.
Yeah.
You know? A bold move, Cotton, and I promise you it will not pay off. It's just one of those, like, come on, dude, wait a week.
Like I said, the first time it was funny, but after that, it stopped being funny. And I'm sure they'll probably drop one more poster until then. I know we got a couple weeks out, but, it is what it is.
So speaking about movies that we're excited for.
Oh, yeah.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood got the Red Band trailer released early this week. I want to say Monday, Tuesday-ish.
Yeah.
I watched it. You watched it. Let's chat.
I was telling you when as I was sitting through it, because we all know what the movie's about, right? And granted, with the first trailer, they haven't really given nothing away, which is fantastic. But I was waiting for them to drop the boom on us, like the violence, because it's the Red Band trailer. So I was expecting the violence to show there, and I think they're doing it on purpose. They're not showing you how fucked up the situation's gonna get, because they kind of giving you a background on Sharon Tate, that this character is and the other fictionalized character that they came up with, Leo's character, and how he's like the next door neighbor of her. It seems like oh man, I gotta live next to her or whatever the fuck he said, and stuff like that. Hinting towards the Bruce Lee character a little bit more, and we get our first glimpse of Charles Manson.
Oh, man, does he look good.
Yeah, it's pretty close, man. He looks eerily similar. That's two serial killers in a row who are eerily similar looking to the person that they were playing, or vice versa. But yeah, man, like I said, I was waiting for the boom to drop, and they didn't do it. They held off, and I'm like, okay, I give them credit for that, because it'd been real easy to drop that bomb.
I feel like this trailer had like very tangible momentum. Like you felt it speeding up, because it did kind of start off slow with the conversation piece.
Yeah.
And then by the end, and when you see Charles Manson's face, you're like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
And then boom, cut.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, because like you said, the momentum was building, and I'm waiting for that snap, and it never came.
I am super excited for this movie, and I got this kind of feeling that it's gonna be at top 3. And I know it's like preemptive and stuff, but I got a really good feeling about this, man. I feel like it's not too far out of Tarantino's reach to feel completely foreign. But like I said, man, he grew up in the midst of this. He knows probably better than we do.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's just within that realm of like maybe Hateful Eight and like Pulp Fiction, like a weird cross between those two.
Yeah.
And I'm super fucking excited for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be really good, man. I mean, QT never lets down. I mean, like I said,
This is number 9.
Yeah, he doesn't really have.
So
a bad
we
movie.
got one more big one, and then he said he's doing 10, and that's it.
I mean, I don't
out
want
of the QT originals.
I don't want to speculate, like because obviously this movie's not out. But what do you think? What's next? What can he possibly do? Space? No, not do that.
Honestly, I don't think that'd be super wacky. Space would be the setting; it wouldn't be the centerpiece.
No. Yeah.
You know, because a lot of his stuff is through dialogue and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I feel like he'd definitely want to do something he hasn't touched before. I don't think space is a bad idea. I think he could do a hell of a space opera. And you know, that's coming from guys who love space operas.
Yeah.
I guess it depends. You don't really know what you get with this guy till you read the news, until like leaks start coming out.
And it's funny because like with him, it's like nothing can be outside of his reach. Because even if he says, "Well, I'm doing this World War II Nazi kind of a thing," you're like, "Okay, I can see that."
Yeah.
Okay,
Glorious Bastards was fucking phenomenal.
I'm doing this spaghetti western kind of a deal. Oh yeah, I can see that.
Oh, hey, let's do another one.
Yeah. And, oh yeah, I got another one coming out. Yeah, I'm gonna do kind of this Japanese ninja kind of a vibe.
This westernized Japanese massacre. Let's do 2 of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, no, it's really interesting and it's really intriguing. But I think if you were to tell me it was going to take place in the late 70s, early 80s, I'd be like, yeah, probably.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He can do whatever he wants, and that's I don't know what other director maybe outside of like the big ones like Scorsese and stuff who has carte blanche to do whatever the fuck they want, and it's gonna get made because that's who they are.
I'd love to see, I don't know, like a crossover of some sort. It's probably never going to happen. But yeah, man, so he's planning to do 10 big ones, 10 QT originals, and then my guess is he's going to do like guest acting, please no, and then like guest directing on some other things. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I just want the 10 movie box set to be in the suitcase from Pulp Fiction with the little bulb. I think that'll be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'll work. What that? So I actually, before we move on, I actually saw I think it was maybe GQ did an interview with Jonah Hill. Okay.
And his 10 movies, his movie breakdowns?
Yeah, he breaks down his.
Yeah, I saw those.
His most famous roles or whatever.
That one's a bit older, actually. I think that's a couple months old. But yeah, I love the movie breakdowns. So what'd you think?
I just love the fact that he's like, I wanted to do 2 things. He's like, I wanted to be in a Martin Scorsese movie, and I wanted to direct my own film. He's like,
You did both,
and those are my dreams. And like, it's funny because obviously he's an intelligent guy. He wrote a great movie, right?
He wrote a couple of great movies. You know, he wrote 21 and 22 Jump Street.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because I was actually getting onto this tangent, I was actually talking to my wife as I was watching it. I'm like, it's funny. I'm like, his greatest partner, it's not Leo, it's not Michael Cera, it's fucking Channing Tatum was his greatest partner probably. His greatest foil in all of his films was probably Channing Tatum. Who'd have fucking thought that?
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah.
Because those 2 characters are written so damn beautifully.
Yeah, if you would have told me when I saw him in Superbad that he's going to make 2 really fucking good, funny movies, 3 really good fucking funny movies with Channing Tatum, I wouldn't have fucking believed you. And he's like I said, probably his best counterpart.
I think he's really humble, man. You remember that interview in like 2012 where the interviewer was like, "Oh, you know, you're a really funny guy, blah blah blah," and he got like upset. And it's like, "Oh, is that what all people know me for, as being just the funny guy, the funny fat guy?" And dude, he turned everything around in the span of like what 5-6 years. And
yeah, he fucking did War Dogs, bro.
War Dogs was great.
War Dogs was great. He was in Moneyball. Obviously, you know, Wolf on Wall Street.
Mid-90s.
Mid-90s was a fucking great movie.
Absolutely,
he did a lot of good shit, man.
I think because he mentioned briefly that. The interview was something like, "Oh, you know, what'd you learn from Martin Scorsese?" And he said every day was a learning experience because Scorsese is just this solely dedicated and like purposeful person when he directs movies and all that stuff. And he's like, every day it was something new, whether it be the way this angle is shot or this or that. And I just love to see the opening of a Jonah Hill movie, to have that wide angle, long shot, that, you know, camera pan where it follows the characters, because I think that'd just be a great nod to Mr. Scorsese. And you know me, I'm a sucker for both these guys now.
Absolutely. And I think, Jesus, I have this fucking tickle in the back of my throat. He was talking about, he had like a great line at the end. He's like, I had this wonderful 15-year movie school that I went to. It was basically his whole career. Yeah. He's like, and I learned a lot along the way. He's like, and I'm going to take that and move forward.
Super humble, man. Yeah. Super humble.
And I like I said, that was really cool. I'm going to watch the, what's his name? Oh my God. Seth Rogen one next, because I think he's going to be
Seth Rogen's goofy.
Interesting fellow. So I want to check out his next. But yeah.
GQ does a lot of interesting stuff, and I think their online presence has gone through the roof recently, man.
Absolutely. They have to
get with the times.
Yep.
Roman.
All right. Let's move it along. So Did you see this little teaser for?
Yeah. So Arnold actually posted this, right?
Yeah.
And we're getting another Terminator movie.
Yeah. It turns out Dark Fate was the right title, which is something that we reported on like months ago. We thought it was a working title, but alas, it is not. And basically, what the whole teaser was leaning on was the return of Sarah Connor. Okay. Now, I love Linda Hamilton. I think she's great. And I think Sarah Connor is probably one of my favorite story arcs, at least for the first two films.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful. Between, she started off as kind of innocent and came to kind of the hardened soldier, and then kind of came back around near the end of T2 and kind of became that loving mother she's supposed to be. But I don't know how I feel about this.
I got a pretty clear thought in my head.
Okay.
I think they saw what Halloween 2018 did by bringing back, help me out with the names.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis. I can remember him when I'm not talking about him, but then when it comes down to it, I just blank.
Yeah.
They saw what Jamie Lee Curtis did in Halloween 2018 and how phenomenal of a fucking movie that was by essentially resurrecting old plot lines, scrubbing the franchise of unnecessary grime and dirt. And not the good kind of grime and dirt we like in our music, the bad kind of grime and dirt.
Yeah.
And I think they're trying to play off those ponytails. You know what I mean?
No,
like they saw it and they're like, well, let's do something.
That is actually a fantastic take there, Gabe. I didn't even think about that, bro.
Well, I mean, because think about it. We're, 6 months out from that movie? Well, 7, probably, right? 7 months out from that movie. And then when I saw this, I was like, listen, I like Sarah Connor. I like T1 through 3, Do
you like 3?
I told you 3 was ballsy, man. I don't think the movie... If it didn't have that ending, I don't think I'd like it as much as I did. It was just super ballsy. Something about the number 3, like Aliens 3, Terminator 3. They're just a big fuck you, like spat in your face,
You're right about that, yeah.
But I was just thinking, I was like, dude, Jamie Lee Curtis got paid. Everybody in that movie got paid. That movie knocked it out of the ballpark for everything leading up to Winter, honestly, right?
Yeah.
And then the reviews came in. People loved Halloween, this and that. And then Terminator's over here, right? The last movie, Genesis. And they're like, well, what can we do? What can we do? And they took a note from McBride's book, and they just said, yeah, let's try it.
Yeah.
And it's one thing to be inspired, and then there's another thing to blatantly plagiarize.
Yeah. I can see a little bit of that. And like my main issue with the Terminator
10 years too late, dude. 10 years too late.
Not even just that. The Terminator since 2. The Terminator since 2, 3, Salvation.
Downward spiral, man.
No, I'm talking about the physical Terminator itself is not intimidating. Like the Chicken 3 was not intimidating at all, like in any way, shape, or form. The ones in Salvation, they were kind of cool, but Salvation was a mixed bag, like in general. And then obviously Genesis was fucking like none of these Terminators are intimidating.
Hand over the Terminator series to somebody who can do justice to them, man. Because I feel like ever since
Cameron dropped off.
Well, ever since 3, there's been a noticeable decline in quality and quality,
ever since
right?
2, dude.
Yeah, no, really. But
yeah.
Hand it over to I don't know how much interest he has in it, but I think Christopher Nolan would knock it out of the fucking ballpark.
Yeah, he'd
do a completely different Terminator movie that nobody knew they needed, but it turns out everybody loved.
Yeah, man. Like I said, I don't know how I feel about this. I'm a big fan of the franchise, especially those first 2 are probably my favorite 1-2 combos.
Quintessential 90s, bro.
Absolutely. And I want my Terminators to be fucking intimidating, and they're not.
Listen, man, here's my nail in the coffin for a lot of these things. Terminator, Judge Dredd, Child's Play, Nightmare on Elm Street, all these franchises we love and we talk about, dude. That casket should have been closed, man. You're extending this wake into 2 or 3 days, and the body's starting to stink a little bit,
No, I feel
that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah,
because Genesis wasn't the worst movie ever.
It was horrible. It sucked. It sucked. I'm sorry. I just hated it.
But we're kind of on this trend right now where they're trying to, the people that were our age when these movies come out are keeping this thing on a fucking like an ICU unit. They refuse to pull the plug even though it's brain dead.
You know what's funny about
dude, my fucking analogies are morbid today. I'm so sorry for everybody out there listening to it.
Yeah, it was a little rough, but it's funny because this is related to the Terminator talk, but it's funny because when I was growing up, me and my dad were so closely related when it comes to movie taste, right? We liked everything the same basically. Mm-hmm. But there was this point, I don't know when, maybe when
you were 15,
maybe even a little bit older, 17, where we spread off, and now we're at the polar opposite end of each other because my dad said he liked Genesis, and I thought less of him because of it.
You are not my father.
Yeah. So I'm because he's oh, I thought it was pretty good, and I watched it. I'm dude, that was fucking trash. And like I said, I thought less of him because of it. So
you were my father by blood, not by choice.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I don't know why I went on that tangent, but it's just something that crossed my mind because even with Star Wars, we're just
Hey, man, you get guided up to a certain point, and then you got to make your own path. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, because like I liked 7, he didn't like 7.
Who's his favorite Bond?
Daniel Craig. No, he's
Okay.
he's still right on that.
Then he's still a rational man.
Yeah, he's still right on that. But yeah, it was just like I said, that was something that crossed my mind. I don't know why I need to bring it up, but
I gotcha. But yeah, man, Terminator. We're gonna toss it under the rug with everything that's 10 years too late, really.
Absolutely. Next.
So the Sonic movie, we've been reporting on it, got delayed a year, roughly a year. It is now scheduled for the 14th of February, 2020. Because they're taking some time to redo all the stuff with Sonic.
Yeah.
All right.
They're basically fixing them, basically. Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with delaying your movie unless it's Devil in the White City, which is never gonna fucking come out.
I thought that was a franchise. I thought that was gonna be a Hulu series now.
I don't know, man.
Oh, yeah.
It's been too long in the dark.
Yeah.
But
great. I gotta go through that book again. Speaking of which.
yeah, absolutely. But I just feel like we're kind of fuck. Where was I going with this? There's nothing wrong with delaying your product as long as it gets delivered and the quality is exactly what you want it. Fall Out Boy did this with their last album. They said, "Hey, we know this thing's scheduled in like 2 months. We're pushing it back. We don't like 90% of the stuff we did." They went back, re-recorded everything. And I think that is a very fair move, and I feel like people recognize that as a sign of weakness.
No, I think it's strength because I think if nothing else, the critics might hate it, the fans might hate it. You gotta like it. You have to.
You gotta live with yourself at the end of the day.
You have to like it, and if you don't like it, don't release it.
Absolutely.
Like I said, because it's one thing if the critics don't like it, the fans will dislike it because it doesn't sound like you. But if you did something that sounded like you, you'd be like, well, doesn't sound. I want something new. Like you never win on that front. At the very least, and Linkin Park taught me this: you have to like it. You have to live with yourself, like you said, and you have to like it. And if they don't like it, then there's no point to release it. So I give them credit for that.
And I know we have like divided feelings on this Sonic movie and even the franchise as a whole, but yeah, it took some big huevos to kind of pull that out and be like, we're gonna push it back 6 months.
You know that they came out with a new Sonic game, Sonic like a race car game,
really?
Mario Kart Sonic, and I heard it was pretty fucking good.
Copy that.
Because I think Sonic embraces kind of this team element thing. Because like I said, Sonic Heroes was kind of the same thing where you take like a group of 3 of them and do like I don't know, like a relay race kind of situation.
I gotcha.
With them, it's like, yeah, where it's going to be you and your 3 friends, and your total sum of where you end up is like the total, which I think is kind of interesting take.
Very cool.
On the race car kind of genre, because Mario kind of got the fucking crown on that front.
Yeah, and I heard the new Mario Kart is complete butt.
Is it?
Yeah, well, from what I've seen. I haven't touched it yet. I still want to Switch really bad, man. I feel like as time goes on, I want it more. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens to these 2 franchises.
Yeah.
Nothing's impossible, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Speaking about franchises, let's talk some gaming.
All right. So basically, I mean, I don't know if you saw anything about this, but I guess Sony and Microsoft, they have that famous photo that's out of them shaking hands. I guess they're going to be working on some cloud-related gaming service in the near future. And right now, I saw, we've seen some hype about the next console. I feel like because I guess Xbox is in the works and they're talking about E3 and all that good stuff about potentially starting to announce that type of stuff. I feel like this is like a new era of gaming that we've reached because I feel like
there's finally peace.
A little bit of that. And there's like before it felt like this fucking Cold War of stuff, especially like when the 3 came out and stuff like that. It was like this Cold War of information. Like, okay, Xbox is saying this quietly in the background and PlayStation's really saying this. Nothing's really happening, but it's just a lot of like espionage and kind of figure out who's doing what and who's leading what and la la la. And now it's kind of like, well, there's radio silence on both ends basically, and they're just gonna announce their stuff when they're ready. And I think that's kind of an interesting take because, like I said, since from Sega to fucking Nintendo going head to head against each other, it was kind of like, well, we're working on this, be prepared and la la la, like years in advance. And from what I'm understanding, within the next year and a half, 2 years, we're going to have these new consoles, and nothing is being said about them. I want your opinion on it.
I think it was it 6th gen with the 360, PS3, and all that stuff. You remember that video that came out where it was like Nintendo versus Sony versus Microsoft, and it was like Master Chief, Kratos, and Mario beating the shit out of each other?
Yeah.
I feel like that was peak console war. But now we've kind of escalated into this mutual kind of respect phase. Not to say that there's like perfect peace amongst everything, because market share is a big deal now.
Yeah.
But I feel like if you told me, hey, I have an Xbox One, oh, that's cool. Whereas back then I was like, holy shit.
Do you feel? I mean, I don't mean to interrupt your train of thought.
Sure.
But do you feel that because like you said, you said market share, and this is what sparked it. You think because gaming is such a big, like, culturally accepted thing now that they don't really feel the need to fight anymore over it? Because gaming is not a niche thing anymore. It's kind of like accepted by society.
I think. Here's my thing. I think that your preference of console shouldn't necessarily be a brand thing. I think you should look at specs, features, all that stuff.
Titles.
Yeah, well, I'll get into that in a sec. But I think if Sony lifted the ban on cross-platform play, we could have kind of this baseline of just all-around gaming. Because, you could play Fortnite on the Switch and the Xbox One and all that stuff. I think if Sony just, got their head out of their ass and they said, hey, cross-platform is up for all these games, right? And then what you really have to decide between is, like, form factor, portability, and exclusives. Because to me, why would I play something like, let's say, Rainbow Six, because we were talking about it earlier? Why would I play that on PS4 when I'm predominantly a PC gamer now, right? But games like The Last of Us 2 and all these PlayStation exclusives, well, now I'm more tempted to get a PlayStation 4 or go out and buy those on console now because you can't play it on PC. And I think that should really be the driving force between
which console?
The console wars, at the current state. And like I said, if Sony lifts that crossplay ban for a lot of these games, we'll kind of be at this zone of like this DMZ of gaming, where you can just kind of play with your friends no matter what they have at the moment. And I think that once we hit that, I think there's going to be this beautiful serenity in gaming, where you can just kind of hop on and rock and roll.
I mean, that sounds great now, but I kind of like the whole fucking tossing dirt thing.
Because we came from that.
We grew up in that.
We grew up in that. Are you kidding me?
Well, like I'm saying, like there was like, I don't know how well you remember this, but I remember the fucking Sega Genesis commercials where they were just fucking taking a dump on fucking Nintendo.
Well, you remember those, like, I can't remember what year was it. Atari did their whole like 2-hour presentation on the new console, and then the Sony guy with the PS1, he went up there, he was like $299, and he just walked off stage.
Yeah.
And mudslinging's always fun.
Yeah.
But where am I going with this? See, I lost my train of thought again.
You said,
you're totally right. Gaming is at the point where a 50-year-old man can game, or a 8-year-old can game. 8-year-olds can always game, right? But it's just kind of universally accepted where, hey, I play games, cool. Whereas 10 years ago, you grown-ass man playing games, what the fuck are you doing with your life,
Yeah, you in your mom's basement.
We're at this stage now where gaming is kind of greater than the sum of its parts because it's its own art form, and a lot of experiences you can't get out of anything but a game. And so I feel like once we hit that equilibrium where you can just kind of hop on and don't have to worry about a lot of these, like, oh, well, my buddy's got an Xbox One, I guess not. I think once we can get past that mentality, I think we're going to be at a beautiful stage in gaming where companies are going to be pushed to their limits. Publishers are going to have to rethink their actions. All this sort of shit right now. And once we hit that, I think that's going to be the golden age of games.
I guess we'll have to wait and see moving forward.
Absolutely, sir. I'm excited. I feel like as weeks go on, we get more and more information about the PS5, all this good stuff. We're going to keep everybody updated on this shit.
Absolutely, because I still want to go to E3. It's funny because you and I talked about it last year. Like, man, we should make a fucking stab at it, but Sony like backed out, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to go.
That's probably 50% of the reason I wanted to go.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, fuck, I don't want to go now. So I'm like, maybe we'll just wait until the next year.
Absolutely,
try to go, especially since I got my Florida trip packed, which I'm fucking stoked, man.
I think next year is when we're going to get news of the 5.
Yeah,
I think that's very, very likely.
Yeah, so I guess we have to wait and see.
So, talk to me real quick, since you know, I remember you specifically telling me, oh, well, this isn't going to be a gaming PC, this is going to be a podcast PC, but yet you text me in the middle of the week like, hey, my CSGO won't fucking run.
Yeah.
So what have you been playing on Steam while we're at the gaming talk?
Well, I mentioned to off air, but right now, because like I said, CSGO is kind of the benchmark.
The default.
Yeah, kind of like, okay, well, if you want to learn how to aim, CSGO is probably a good place to start. And I'm kind of fiddling around with other stuff just to see, like, you know, what's out there. I'm not 100% sold on anything. To me, and I know you probably say if I give it enough time, it'll be the other way around. But nothing feels better than that PlayStation 4 control in my hand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for now.
That's just that. See,
for
exactly.
Now.
Yeah,
it's the jump.
Yeah,
because I initially played a lot of PC games with my PS4 controller.
Yeah.
But once you get that aim down, you're not going to want to go back.
Yeah.
But we're in that transitional period right now. But, it's good that you're getting out there. CSGO is quick and dirty. I love it.
Yeah.
There's stupid amounts of depths and layers and all this wacky shit that goes along with CSGO. But if you just want to fire it up and shoot some bad guys, you can have it.
Yeah. Right now I'm just fucking around with bots because I don't want to be fucking shat on by a.
Check out I think it's called server surfing. So they have like these weird get through this like obstacle course thing, and there's a lot of wacky shit on CS:GO that you could do.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to take a hop in with each other to see what's going on because I know you have it. I'm not really fucking around with PlanetSide. I think I'm gonna delete it because I kind of booted it up and it looked kind of rough and
I gotcha. I think Left 4 Dead 2 is like $5.
Yeah, take
that is a quality investment, my friend.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that maybe. And what else did I have booted up? Oh, Smite. I'm afraid. Gabe. I don't want to do it.
It's not that bad.
I don't want to get shat on.
Oh, quick little mention. If you have Amazon Prime, link your Twitch and Amazon Prime accounts, and then you get all these free fucking skins, all these nasty, dirty, grimy skins. I believe last month it was Art. You got a nasty skin for Arthur. I can't remember who it is this month, but every month something for Smite. So check that out.
Dude, because I've been playing Smite again on my, because I go in waves, obviously. And that's like my main problem right now with the PS4 is because I have the Founders Pack on the PS4. Like why?
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't
why hop over?
Yeah, I don't want to make that investment again. But even though it's totally worth it. But right now the skins on Smite are on a fucking different level than when you and I were playing like full time.
Yeah,
almost.
I know. I keep up with the skins.
These skins are so fucking good looking.
That's half the fun.
Yeah. So I just love it, and I'm like every time there's like somebody with the skin, I'm like, wow, I feel like less of a man because I don't have it. You know what I mean? That type of situation. I mean, I've been fucking. I told you, and I hopped in again a couple days ago with Freya. I was just mowing motherfuckers down.
Your girl?
It does not matter how long it's been. I'm still killing motherfuckers with Freya.
And even some WD-40 on it, we can rock and roll.
Yeah, even when they because they changed their kit up a little bit, like they altered it slightly.
I remember this rework.
Yeah, and it was like it doesn't matter. I'm
no
still
effect.
I'm still gonna fucking mow you down, and that's just how I
copy.
How
Smite is also a super fun game to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's important for any esport.
I watch the top 10 plays every week, no matter what, of Smite. Even if I'm not playing it, I still watch it.
Yeah, it's just super entertaining.
Absolutely.
That being said, you got anything else for gaming?
I did have something, but I slipped my mind. I'm not gonna lie. Oh fuck. Oh shit. Oh fuck.
Think.
Slipped my mind. Never mind.
All right. Maybe we'll get to it around next week.
Yeah.
You got any games for the week? Or
no.
Stale?
Yeah, I got nothing on me right now.
Cool beans. Let's talk some music. So we're doing retro reviews for kind of our standard music thing now.
Sure. Standard music thing now.
Well, because we had
10 song set list.
10 song set list. Obviously, we do the new album reviews when they come out. So we're doing retro reviews of kind of older albums we like. This week was my choice. It was As Blood Runs Black Allegiance. I want you to start this off because I've known this album for 13 years. I kind of have my opinions set in stone, and I know what's in the package.
Yeah. So, as far as my background as Blood Runs Black, they were just always one of those bands on like the MySpace phase that everybody liked, and I thought it was okay since like the beginning of time, right? So I went with this with open ears because, like I said, it's probably been about 10 years, right? So I listened to it, and I was listening to it with my wife and stuff like that. And I'm like, it's fine. It's definitely passable. I'm not gonna say that it's bad because it's not. But I think if I maybe dug deeper during the time, I would have enjoyed it more. But for me, it's just very middle of the road because I feel like that sound is such a dated thing, and it's not necessarily a bad thing because I still go back to old I Killed the Prom Queen and I enjoy it. But I think I Killed the Prom Queen did it better in almost every way. So at least back then, because like I said, dude, it's a production thing, and I don't know if it's because they did it in their fucking basement and it sounds a certain way.
It sounds like it's recorded like underwater, like Mermaider, right?
Yeah, a little bit like that, and like there's a lot of albums during that time period. We're fucking victim of that. Bless the Fall, the Lonely Walker is the other one that comes to mind that sounds exactly like that. But
early Chelsea Grin stuff.
Yeah, early Chelsea Grin stuff like that. And to me, like I said, it was good. It was passable. I enjoyed some of it, but to me, there's a level of production quality that I just don't enjoy. I know it's what's it called? A product of its time. The drums are super midied, and I don't know that for a fact, but it sounds like it to me. That's what my ears picked up, especially I think in that one song. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Hester Prine.
Up.
Hester Prine.
No.
Strike Chug Chug.
No.
All my fears have become phobias.
The Brighter Side of Suffering.
Ah.
There was a moment I'm like, that's totally like nobody fucking can play that. You know what I mean? It's like one of those fucking things at a Jaron Dine video where they were making fun of like the MIDI drummer kind of situation. So I don't know. I like it overall. I think it's a solid effort, especially for a band that was new at the time because
that was their EP.
This was
first full length album, I believe.
Their debut. I think it was a good first step, but I think after knowing what we know, I think it's pretty obvious why they never stuck around. Outside of the fact that they couldn't keep like a solid lineup, from what you said, right? Like their lineup was constantly bouncing around. I think it's because they were just okay in every sense of the word. And there was so many other bands that were pushing the genre forward, and they just kind of fell to the wayside.
I gotcha. So I'm more of the deathcore guy here. I discovered this album, like you said, in the MySpace days. This album it was my introductory to heavier shit, because there was a point where, we kind of got into like the heavy metal side of things, whether that be some classics like Metallica, Osbourne, whatever it may be, or some of the new metal that was coming out at the time, like Slipknot, Wait and Bleed was probably the song that got me into this whole thing, right?
Sure, absolutely.
This, as Blood Rose and Black Allegiance, kind of pushed my envelope, my tolerance, let's say, for heavier stuff, right? And the thing that I think that they did really well on this particular album, Allegiance, was that they really pushed the envelope for what you could do instrumentally in a deathcore track. Because Jared Dine says it over and over, dude. Like, deathcore is very formulaic, and it gets very boring very quick if you're stuck in that genre. You got to mix it up. You can't just listen to straight deathcore for months on end, right? Mm-hmm. I think that what they did instrumentally was pretty creative for the time. What was this album? 2006? It's 13 years old now. I think that initial lineup was a home fucking run. Everybody put in 110%, and that album kind of showed it. Because when you listen to early Chelsea Grin and you listen to like early Oceano and all those guys in that scene at the time, I don't think some came close. I don't think anybody was at the peak performance that As Blood Runs Black came out swinging it, Okay. When that gun went off at the start line, these guys were full-blown sprint, and it kind of showed. Did
you just make that what's the word, that analogy because you were a runner in school?
Maybe. But besides that, like, I don't know, I feel like the lyrics are okay. There ain't anything special. There's kind of formulaic in a sense, but drums are wild. And I couldn't tell you whether these are MIDI drums or actual drums, but I can tell you I did see them in 2011 at Joliet at Mojo's. Let me pull up this lineup because it was absolutely fucking bonkers, right? So it was the Atticus Metal Tour. It was Darkest Hour, Born of Osiris, As Blood Runs Black, The Human Abstract, and some local bands, right?
I remember that tour.
And I think I told you, dude, like after the show, I was like nice and sweaty, and I was trying to take a shit, and I was just slipping around on that toilet in there, man. But they can pull off live what they do on that album, at least with the lineup I saw in 2011, right? Because I mentioned they can't have a fucking steady lineup, and it's ridiculous. It really is, because they were a band for all of, I think they officially called it quits in 2014, all of 8 years, and 3 vocalists, like 2 drummers. I think the only constant member was one of the guitarists.
I thought it was the other way around. I thought the only constant member was the drummer.
It might have been. They only had one constant guy throughout the entire lifespan of this band, and everybody else was just a rotating cast of characters. And it was a bit ridiculous, honestly. And when you got to like the Christian Bartholomew era of As Blood Runs Black, I just completely fell off. I couldn't do it. I didn't think they brought the same viciousness and ferocity as Allegiance did. Okay. With that being said, I'm trying to focus on this album. I think if you want pure, unfiltered, unadulterated violence, I think this is a very good album to go for, because you could go into it with that mindless sense of just, let's just fucking break shit, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's why I appreciate it.
Okay.
I love this album. I think it's fun.
Absolutely.
You got any closing comments on it?
No, man. I mean, like I said, it's not bad. I think it's cool.
It does fall to the plight of the whole MySpace score.
Yes, it does.
Which that umbrella is fucking massive if you want it to be, right?
Yeah.
But I think, like I said, for a 2006 release, I think the only other band that like really compared at the time was when Job for a Cowboy dropped Doom, and that's another great deathcore band. But like I said, dude, I think it's a fun trip if you're trying to go back 13 years. But
all right,
Jesus,
all righty, buddy. So I have another retro review for us to do.
Yeah, let's chat.
And I think you might not have ever listened to this band, or at least the album.
Who is it?
This is In Fear and Faith, Your World on Fire.
Oh, man, I know of In Fear and Faith.
I want us to do this next week.
All right, sounds good.
And because there was a song that came up with my shuffle The road to hell is paved with good intentions.
How old
Yeah.
is this album? 10 years?
2010 it came out, so
9.
now
Okay, just about 10.
Yep, and this is another band that was really popular, immediately, and then they kind of phased off and fizzled. And I kind of want our opinions looking back, because like I said, I watched this when they came out, or listened to this when it came out, and I saw them live multiple times, and it was always phenomenal. So
Very cool. T-minus 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks until Upon a Burning Body.
okay,
So it's going to be a nice album review. We haven't gotten another single yet, have we? Just the 2?
yeah, just the one, yeah, just two, yeah,
Just the 2. Should be fun.
yeah,
Should be fun. June 7th.
But there was hold on, I'm sorry, there was something else that did we talk about Logic?
No, you did not mention them.
So have you listened to Logic's new shit?
Yes, I have. What'd you think?
I like it, man.
See, as the sun passes by and as the days grow older, Jake falls deeper in love with Logic.
Yeah, dude, and then because this is my thing. Because obviously I teach like my new hire class in my job, right? That's what I do. So, and they're like, oh, well, what music do you like? And I go down my path, and I'm like, as far as hip hop, I'm like I'm like a Kendrick, right? There's like the 2 big ones.
2 kings.
Yeah, the 2 kings. To me, I'm not a huge hip hop head, so I can't tell you. But now it's like, well, I like Kendrick, and now it's Logic. I put Logic in that category, and I fucking love this dude. This dude is so good.
So this new album, Dangerous Mind, right?
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Confessions of a Dangerous Mind. What do you think of it, man? Because I mentioned this before. He takes very good care of his mainstream albums, his mainline albums, because he has the Bobby Tarantino, he has the Young Sinatra, and he has all like these different kind of like
vibes,
side stories, really. So what do you think, man?
He did a great job, man. This dude's a fucking wordsmith, man. He could put shit together. He says stuff that makes me laugh, and he kind of has the Eminem syndrome to me, where like I can go back at any time and be like and discover something new, where I'm like, that was clever, that was funny.
He sets up his raps like a comedian would set up a joke, where you're kind of leading up to this like story, and then you hit the punchline for a lot of these like goofier songs. Yeah,
and man, he's a fucking talented guy. I love his choice of beats and his production. I love it.
They're very what's the word I'm looking for?
Boom bap.
Yeah. Oh, he has a song called Boom Bap, I believe.
Well, yeah.
They're very purposeful.
Yeah.
He knows what he's doing. It's not like, hey, give me a beat. It's like, no, I want this, this, and that.
Yeah. It's a vibe thing, and he has very particular choices with his vibes, and I love it. I
feel like a lot of his singles have this very kind of bounciness to it. Mm-hmm. Like it has almost like a bob and weave, when you're like on your toes and you're waiting for it. I feel like that's his approach with a lot of his mainstream singles. But then you have shit like Dear God and like all these like really like down to earth tracks, and it's just totally slowed the fuck down, and all the production work is beautiful to it.
What was that album song on the last album, the Young Sinatra, Thank You, I think it was called? That was just like a beautiful fucking well-written song about how his life changed, and the fans did it for him, and they had kind of that what's it called, the intermission in between, where they had like the voice messages from all the fans.
Yeah, that was brutal, man.
Fucking beautiful, man.
Yeah,
like
it was brutal.
This guy is fucking
somebody from I think Joliet called, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah from Joliet, Illinois.
Yeah. And this fucking guy, like I said, there's very few artists out there that makes me interested in
their work,
in rap.
Very
and
cool.
This guy is one of them. And
so did you do a deep dive on his discography yet?
I did. The Incredibly True Story, which I fucking love.
I love it. That's my favorite of his albums. So good. That was the same year that Space EP dropped.
Oh.
So that was a very space themed year. And I think I brought it up, but I think the consensus was Space EP was just so massively good.
Yeah.
But tracks like, dude, like Lord Willin', like, come on, it's such a very laid back, but like so humble track. And
I love all the instrumentals of it all, where it's like, or
the 2 guys conversing.
Yeah, the 2 guys conversing. He's like, yeah, you can make it anybody you want. He's like, Big Sean. He's like, everybody in the world. You want to talk to Big Sean? He's like, yeah, Kai, you a bitch. Yeah. So every time I listen to Logic, I'm like, okay, well, I don't have this album. Let me download that one too. And I fucking love this guy. This guy's fucking talented.
He has a lot of good stuff. And I remember when Under Pressure, it wasn't his debut album, but it was the album that broke him through into the mainstream. I remember when that dropped and people were like, oh, who is this Logic guy? Who's this Logic guy? And meanwhile, I had like all the Young Sinatras on my iPod. And I was like, dude, you guys have been fucking sleeping on this.
Yeah,
he is genuinely a wordsmith. And I feel like now that the stigma of a white rapper is long done and gone, I feel like this dude's success is really kind of booming, because he really did. Around the 2010 era, he went from being like a local Chicago rapper to being a national sensation. And it's really beautiful because he is genuinely a good guy.
He's not local, by the way.
My bad.
He's from Maryland, yeah, but he was a smaller guy.
Fun fact, he has a song called Metropolis on Under Pressure, and in that song, he drops a line that says, "The first show that I ever done sold out was in Chicago. I was at that show.
That's
I was
fucking
at the
dope.
House of Blues."
That's very cool.
Yeah, man. It was a fucking great show. And he is a good showman. He is a great rapper and an excellent writer, and it shows. He also had one of the most peaceful divorces I've ever seen.
I've heard that, yeah.
Him and his now ex-wife were just like, hey, maybe we should be friends. And then that's it.
He did. I saw that he did something on YouTube for her birthday, where he made
The whole orchestra.
Yeah, he did that. That was really nice. Yeah, and I heard that too. I saw him on Hot Ones because I watched that, and like that was fucking excellent.
He is genuinely a good guy.
Absolutely, and I like him a lot. So
I still recommend doing a deep dive into like Young Sinatra 3. I love that mixtape. He has a song called like Numbers, which is phenomenal. There's this like, he tells stories through his albums, right? And The Incredible True Story is fucking phenomenal. I love the whole thing. But in Young Sinatra 3, it's like this cheesy ass like record dealer representative, and he's like trying to sign him on. And Logic's like, "Hey man, fuck you. I'm not answering." And the guy keeps like leaving him voicemails. He's like, "Hey man, come on, Logic, I'll get you a good deal, man." And it's just hilarious. I think his name is Randall. Like you can check it out on YouTube. But yeah, absolutely. If you needed an excuse, this is it. Check out Logic.
Yeah, man. And that was our love letter to Logic. I love you, bro.
I think he's no, dude. I genuinely think he's one of the handful of quality rappers left out there that, maybe the money helps, but he at the end of the day, he's rapping about what he cares about, and that's his fans.
Cool.
What is next?
This is you.
Okay, so being fans of the metal genre, I honestly, I say with any genre, there are the like extremities and the extreme portions of your genre, right?
Yep.
How familiar are you with porno grind? No.
Huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So I found this band. I kind of ran into them because I was looking at a porno grind playlist.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
No, I was looking into a porno grind playlist, and if you know what porno grind or gore grind is, it's just this ridiculous, like brutal, heavy. It sounds like you're trying to blow bubbles through the mud, is what the vocals sound like, right? And so I was dicking around, and I sent my buddy this band called Rectal Smegma, right? Pretty fucking brutal, and so we were kind of listening to it, and he kind of like looks at me. He's like, "Hey, this song kind of low-key smacks." And so it started off as a joke, it was like, "Dude, listen to this, it's pretty fucking brutal, man." Yeah. And then it devolved into, "Hey man, so you want to put on some Rectal Smegma?" So this is an album by a band called Rectal Smegma, right? And just that name alone should scare you off.
How many times are you gonna do Rectal Smegma?
This is an album called Gnork, and I'm just gonna read some of these fucking titles off to you, right? Flash Past to Death, Sacred Semen Altar, Gore Grind Graveyard, Ballad of Balls, Chocolate Milf Shake, Slime Swine Swing,
oh my god,
Retardo Ricardo, Poop Shoot meets Morningwood. Hang on, this one's pretty good. Quality is Our Mission, Foreskin Mask. And then my personal favorite off this entire album, and probably out of this whole band, is called Shit Squirting Sandy. And these guys, they take metal to the extremities, and honestly, if you're looking for a good laugh,
to the extremities, he said.
Yeah, right. I can't even speak. If you're looking for a good kick, man, throw on Shit Squirting Sandy, because that thing smacks on a whole different level. But yeah, like I just thought it was hilarious. It started off as "Oh yeah, bro, check this out. These guys are heavy, bro."
Yeah.
And then it's like, "Hey man, you wanna throw them on?" Yeah, I'll throw them on. I was waiting for you to ask.
That's funny.
But yeah, dude, they're like, I call them more porno gore, because they're like between that like porno grind and gore grinds thing. But yeah, I don't know, man. If you're looking for a laugh, check it out. If you're a fan of porno grind, you probably have heard of them.
Interesting.
They're playing at Cunt Fest this year, which I thought was hilarious. Man,
you can't write that shit, man.
Yeah, right. Fact is stranger than fiction. Honest to God.
Yeah, dude.
Okay, so let's get back to
real life.
To real life is a fantasy. Knocked Loose dropped a new single.
Fucking dope.
And I Wander South.
Fucking dope.
I love it, man. We had our worries about this album because they blew up what seemed like way too fast for their own good.
Yep.
But it's been 3 years since Laugh Tracks?
Yeah.
2016.
Took
I
their
remember
time.
when that dropped. Nothing but respect, because these dudes were picked up by the giants known as Every Time I Die really fucking quick, and I feel like they've toured for most of last year together, right?
Yeah.
And their buddy Keith Buckley's on the new album. He does a feature, which I'm excited for.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like best friends, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
when somebody worships you, I think it'd be really easy to go best friends with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for this, and both these singles have been really fucking good so far, and I think they take a more, I don't want to call it melodic, because it's very hard to be melodic with hardcore music.
That's the right word.
It's very purposeful. It's very balanced, and dude, it takes breakdowns and it deconstructs them, and it says how many instruments do you need for a breakdown? 2? Yeah, 2. Let's go. And I don't know, man. And I Wander South is a really fucking good single.
Yeah, I like
that
it.
Mistakes Like Fractures. You get 2 extremes of this album right now, and I can tell you're not going to be disappointed. I'm excited.
What's the name of this album? It's something weird, I thought.
A
different shade of blue.
A Different Shade of Blue coming out August 23rd.
Very cool.
I am excited, man. That week in August is going to be good because we're gonna have a couple things lined up.
Yep. So I actually I have one written down. I actually have another single after that to cover. This is Alexisonfire Complicit. Have you listened to this?
Yes, I have. It's pretty good.
Yeah, man. It's
for guys that are turning 40 this year.
Yeah.
It's hard to come out with quality content year after year, especially when you hit your peak in 2006. Was it? Yeah, 2006 with Crisis, which is genre-defining
we talked about
album.
it. We
Absolutely,
love it.
we should do a fucking 13-year review on that. Yeah. But it's hard to follow something like that up.
Yeah.
And to say that these guys have had a fairly consistent lineup, a fairly consistent sound throughout all these years, that's something to commend, man. So
absolutely, they did a great job. It's it's kind of in the same vein of the last song, which is Familiar Drug, which was a good song too. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's very interesting that they pick like the tint. Because I don't know if you saw the album art, but the first one had like that green tint,
yeah,
and this one has the red tint. I wonder where they're going with this, because they're a band that does everything with purpose, right? Everything has a purpose, so I'm wondering where they're going.
One, if not all, these guys are artists in the sense of like art, you know?
Yeah, no, I was, yeah. So I'm looking forward to this album. I think it's gonna be really good.
Do we have a date on this yet?
Let me see if I can dig it up real quick, because I'm sure with the second single that they had something coming. Let me Google this real quick.
Yeah, man, Canada's prized possession.
No, 100%. And Dallas Green is probably one of the best vocalists of like around right now. So hold on. I'm sorry. I'm really bad with this. I'm a horrible podcast host. You can hate me in the comments. Actually, it doesn't seem like they have a date for this quite yet.
Well, then I'm sure we'll get one announced soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, good stuff. So I love them. They're great. What more can I say? And this is a band that you put me on. Foxblood.
Oh, hey, you're still jamming at Foxblood.
Yeah, I had a single called Kill the Lights, which is kind of different from what they've done previously, but still excellent. I feel like they improved on, especially on the vocals, because that was like my big issue with them, was that the vocals were kind of hit or miss. And this single is very good.
So, you know what's funny? I think we traded paint in that the Weekly Bangers thing, because to be honest, I kind of forgot about Foxblood. They just kind of faded into the background for me.
Yeah.
But then you're like, oh, I still keep up with them. I'm glad that worked out. But on my shuffle, Roseview will come on every once in a while. I'm like, dude, this is, yeah, maybe it's generic, but it's so fucking well done,
It's not generic in the sense that where it's like it's derivative. It's like, okay, well, this kind of, it's good. But, there's a bit like...
It hits all your, like, checklist items for a
checks all the
melodic
boxes, yep.
metalcore album. But it's done in such, like, a...
Genuine.
In a genuine way, man. It doesn't feel artificial in any sense of the word.
Like Wage War, where it's like very artificial.
They have a handful of songs that I think are very genuine, like Youngblood. But overall, yeah, they do nail the generic metalcore. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that.
I actually have something to show you, because there's two. There was this video that Jared Dines came out with this week that was two songs that are like blatantly ripped off from each other, and I got to show you something.
What is it? 2 Wage War songs?
It's a Wage War song that they ripped off from the Architects. Ooh. And there's a bunch of them. Like actually. They showed in the video Motionless in White ripping off Breaking Benjamin, but when I saw that like in the list, I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, this is the one that I think. It's actually another song where they double dipped.
Holy shit!
Stealing from Breaking Benjamin, and they're from PA, both of them. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure they're big fans of Breaking Ben. I mean, how would you not? Because Breaking Benjamin's fucking phenomenal. But
one of the new metal bands that you don't get shat on for liking.
No, 100%. Yeah, because fucking Breaking Benjamin's so good. They have so many good fucking hits. Oh my god. But yeah, I'll show you this after the fact, because it is kind of interesting, and you'll be like, whoa, for some of these. But so yeah, man, it's a good single. Foxblood did a great job. So
yeah, man, I'll have to circle back around.
Cool.
Good shit.
All right, man.
I think that's you got any closing comments on music?
No, man. I think that's about it for the podcast. I have something that I could play now at the end of this. Basically, I'm going to say, hey, man, check us out.
Quick little thing, right?
Yeah.
My buddy said, because he's making a playlist for every month of the year of this year, and he's doing like shit he listens to. He said, man, May's been really fucking slow. And I was like, dude, you're insane. My album of the year came out in May.
Yeah.
And it stood there at the top still. FeverWar still got it, man.
Yeah.
I just go back to it. I'm like, dude, sometimes you forget why you like something and you go back to it and you're like, yeah. That's me right now.
Absolutely, man. It is what it is. As far as what I'm listening to, man, kind of the same. I've been digging back and forth between things. We Are Not Your Kind, that fucking Unsainted is still fucking playing for me.
Yeah, Unsainted is really good.
It took a time or a trip in the Wayback Machine and hit up D12's D12 World.
Hey, man.
Yeah, man. It is what it is.
They want my salsa, bro.
Yeah, my salsa. Yeah.
Oh, speaking about the Wayback Machine. Actually, no, not speaking about it at all. The Unsainted, the album pre-orders are up.
Yeah.
You want to know what the big one is? I think I sent you it, didn't I?
No, I saw it, though. The jumpsuit.
Yeah, so for the it's like $235, you get the
dope blue fucking vinyl, which looks fucking
looks
beautiful.
so good. I want it so bad.
Yeah.
You get a white Slipknot jumpsuit. You get like the bacteria mask in black.
Yeah.
A pin, the tour bus, charger thing.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. $235 is kind of steep, but that jumpsuit might just be worth it for those hardcore fans out there.
No, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, come on, think about it. When you were like 13, didn't you want a Slipknot jumpsuit or at least a mask?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you need an excuse, man, support Slipknot and get a jumpsuit.
Hey, man, if they fucking gave me that if they threw in that Corey Taylor jacket, I'd fucking buy that shit in a heartbeat because that shit was good looking.
Yeah, that's super thematic, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's good looking.
Good stuff.
But other than that was the Second City Kids podcast. I'm going to go ahead and play the new thing that we got, and we'll see you next week. Deuces. Thank you guys for joining us this week on the Second City Kids podcast. You can like us on iTunes, Google, anywhere else podcasts are found. Any comments, questions, or concern, you can email us at secondcitykids@gmail.com. Until next week, folks, deuces.